let's not waste any time, y'all. Let's jump into RoboCop, right? So, as you know, as we normally do with retrospect reviews, it's not just so much about when the movie came out and the impact and all that, but how we were introduced to it and how the film and subsequent films in this franchise stood out to us, right? So for me, right, this came out in 1987, right? So at that time, I would have been 3, right? So I would not have known. Honestly, I didn't even know about RoboCop at all until 1990, right? Even though I was pretty young, I was aware of, theatrical releases because reason being is because, they used to advertise those things on TV, right? That was back in the days when we had the Big Six. That was before it became the Magnificent Seven, right? Of chain of cinemas in Trinidad, right? So yeah, I was first exposed to RoboCop, ironically, through RoboCop 2. I saw the ad for it on TV, and I was like, okay,
right.
Well, too young for that, but that sounds interesting, right? I also knew that there was a cartoon series for it, right? An animated series. But honestly, I can't remember for the life of me where I first saw it. I don't think it was on TTT. It definitely was not on TV6, but I know...
More than likely AVM. Because AVM used to have a lot of like off-ball cartoons. Like they somehow get the license to a lot of those, so...
Oh, yes,
yes.
It's
probably AVM.
Probably. But yeah. I remember seeing a couple episodes of it though, but I can't honestly tell you if they were good or not, right? But I'll talk about the TV stuff in a bit because it's another TV show I want to talk about in particular.
The thing is, it had a show that was basically the RoboCop show. That is a show called Cops.
Yes, which I do remember.
Right. So the main character of that, he's pretty much RoboCop.
You're talking about the black police captain?
Yeah, B8 Bulletproof. BP.
Right, that was his name. Yes. I always remember his tagline. It's crime fighting time. I never forgot that. That was hard.
To this day, I still one of the best goddamn cartoon intros ever. Just look at who and tell me how badass it is.
No, it is. I always remember the theme song, the opening sequence, all that kind of stuff. But one day I should really go on YouTube and just look for old episodes and just binge that shit. You know what I mean? But
and we get to theme song and what that whole aspect of it, because clearly it was biting RoboCop, eh? But,
yeah. Exactly. We're good to bring up that too because you had to talk about the influence of this film, right?
Yeah.
So just stick with the TV bit just one last time, right? I do remember the live action TV series, right? Which aired on TV6. I remember they used to show it Friday nights at 8 prime time, right? And I just remember used to watch it. I was like I can't say for sure that it was faithful to the source material, but I just looked at it as, oh, okay, that's fine. That's okay. It didn't piss me off or get me mad or thought it was trash or anything like that, right? But the reason being is because I was just only going off of the first movie, which I ended up seeing on cable when I first got cable, right? I saw it actually in its censored version on WGN. They were kings of showing censored content. I mean, look at Die Hard 2, as a perfect example.
Yep.
Yeah, but it was only afterwards when I started to get into the Criterion Collection. Now that's when I saw the I don't want to say the unrated, but the uncut version, right? That's where, basically, this show is quite legendary for its trimming of particular scenes that were deemed extremely violent. So seeing what really happened in certain shots, I was like, oh, okay, that's why they cut that. All right. Now I see, right? And I'll talk about the whole violence aspect of the show as well too, right? But yeah, I saw it, I enjoyed it, you know what I mean, for what it was. It didn't blow me away at the time, right? Because I mean, I was when it came to 80s movies about machines, the two shows I would go to were Blade Runner and Terminator, right? But RoboCop just had a soft spot in my heart for it, right? It's just over the years when I watched it over, it's this show real hard, and now I have it as amongst one of my all-time favorite movies, right? It's the funny thing, right? I never saw 2 or 3 because I just always heard that. This is around the time when I got the internet that they just were pale in comparison to the original.
Two makes the mistake of not playing it a little too straightforward. The problem with 2 is that it's too on the nose and doesn't really get why the first one works. And then 3 is just trash. 3 is just one of the worst films of rubbish.
No, I know. And in preparation for this, I actually watched 2, right?
I saw 3 in K-Don. and I remember.
Oh, okay, right.
I
When
just remember how
this
bad it
came out
was.
in '93, right?
Right. I just remember how bad it was and how forgettable it was. I remember just not paying attention to that movie at all. And this is Kid
Oh,
out there. Like, come
yeah,
on. It's fucking
yeah,
RoboCop.
yeah. Yeah.
How you could F up
Nah,
with
right. I remember the trail of it. I remember it showing on
it.
TV, but like
Yeah.
even back then, I just always knew, nah, something was off with this.
Yeah.
And the
And
real reason is because the rating. Like I was aware of
right.
ratings back then. So you tell me the first two movies is R, and this one here is PG-13. You expect me
Yeah, that's
to
pretty much it. Right?
expect that three gonna be any good? No.
Yeah, you know, it had good ideas and good people in it and thing. Like CCH Pounder was in it and thing. Like, but
Okay.
yeah, it just didn't work.
Right. So that's round to my history with this franchise, right? So in preparation for this, I like finally watched RoboCop 2, and well, right off the gate, I was surprised that Frank Miller
Yeah.
wrote the script for this. I know, like I read it up quickly on Wiki. There was some real chicanery behind the scenes with who was going to write this and who was going to
Right.
do this and
Well,
all that
it
kind of
had
stuff.
it had a lot of drama.
Real craziness.
Well, Verhoeven had a lot of like when he remember he came on the project kind of late, right?
Oh, okay. I didn't
But
know. I didn't know.
they were shopping around for directors for a while, and he came on pretty late. So he wanted to change. He didn't like the draft for the script, the second draft, and he wanted a third draft, and the real push for that. And then ultimately, he kind of copped to what do you call it? He actually copped to going back to the second draft, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's all of that. It's all of that like back and forth that made it strange. Now.
Right. But yeah, but just to talk briefly about RoboCop 2, right? Just seeing it for the first time, right? This just felt so lackluster, but like
Yeah.
they have ideas, yeah, but it
Yeah.
just felt like it was just unfocused. Like 1 minute you want to talk about RoboCop and you know the three main protocols, and oh well he's supposed to be more endearing as a cop, so they
Right.
just stuff him with a whole bunch of protocols, and this is like really cringe-worthy like set of sequences involving him trying to be all nice and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And it just didn't work. And then like when they literally kind of reset that, like literally in the film they just reset it and kind of forget like it happened, right? Also the villain, which ironically is RoboCop 2, didn't make any sense to me. The whole idea of taking a criminal's brain and putting it in a body and he's a cop now makes no sense.
Right.
Also then like the villainizing or the further villainizing of the old man. I just felt like it was just pointless. Like, all right, like we understand OCP, which you'll talk about later, is like the big bad evil corporation, but here's like, all right, like clearly you all didn't learn the lessons from what happened in the first film, so let's just do all this crazy stuff, and which makes no sense, right?
Right,
But lastly, in terms of that show, right now, it didn't take me out of the film, right? But I'll tell you the reason why it doesn't work, right? Now, even when I saw it for the first time, I knew this ruffled a lot of feathers, and that is the character of All right, well.
No, yeah, the second film. The reason why the second film just don't work is that it plays the first film on its face a little too much. Like the first film,
Agreed.
it has everything you like about the first film, right? In speeds, but this one is carried too far, and it get to the point where it's like, all right, well, yeah, like you gotta get the joke, you're running into the ground.
Yeah, and you're just really not seeing anything, right? So
Right.
case in point, right? So yes, you have the character of Hub, right, who's played by Gabriel Demon, right? Gabriel Demon, sorry, right? This 12-year-old kid, right? And early on, you've seen this guy like with guns, like automatic weapons and stuff like that. No, you know what I mean? And talking down to people, cussing them out and all that kind of thing, right? Like like I was actually surprised by seeing kids, right? And this is a 1990 film, like using f-bombs and stuff, right? I know prude or anything like that, but that just kind of caught me by surprise, right? So not surprisingly, my boy, the late great Roger Ebert, was like real offended by that. Like, how can you have this 12-year-old kid, shooting people and cursing and all that kind of stuff, right? And he would go as far as putting that as one of the worst films of 1990, right? But yeah, you're right though. It just kind of lost the point of what the original show is about. It just played things too straight, right? Case in point, there's literally a scene involving some guy who robbing some store, right? And you have this little league's team robbing the place, right?
Yeah.
Now, this would have been a great moment for the show to say, oh, this is like the influence of crime and violence onto the youth. But no, they just play it straight. It's just a bunch of kids robbing a guy. And it's like, it just take you out, though. It makes no sense.
Like, okay, here's the thing. In the original RoboCop, again, we're going to get into the first one, but like the first film, why the first film, the first film we're going to talk about, works so well is that because it has the absurdity, but the absurdity has a plausibility to it, right? Everything about it is like, yeah, this kind of crazy, but all of it makes sense, like in the world. The second one was just nonsense. Like none of it makes sense. Like how is that possible?
Agreed.
Why would you
Yeah,
do it like
none
that?
of it made any sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Like even right down to the kids and all robbing the place
Yeah,
makes no sense. Like
that makes no
a
sense.
whole team, a whole the league's team, that makes no
Yeah,
sense, right? But yeah, that was me with RoboCop too, right? I didn't even bother to watch three because I just
yeah,
always heard how bad it was, right?
yeah.
But I'll
Pretty bad. Yeah.
close. Yeah, but I'll close with this, right? The remake from 2014.
Right.
I saw that in cinema.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like right off the bat, the moment they say this is gonna be a PG-13, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
big red
Don't write
flag
it
right
up.
there. Whoa, whoa. But I was curious because it was a remake. I wanted to see what it was gonna do.
Right.
The only thing in that show to me that made sense in terms of what they were going for was Samuel Jackson's character, him being basically the media news guy. So, but
Yeah,
basically, they kind of
kind
have him as a sort of
right.
a Bill O'Reilly kind of
Right.
archetype. Like he's that
Right.
type, right?
Yeah,
That
he's
to
Bill
me
O'Reilly.
made sense.
Yeah, he's Bill
All to everything
O'Reilly.
else.
Bill O'Reilly, but he's worked like a kind of muse almost in the narrative. Um, it was interesting. Okay, so
Yeah,
I have
other than that, nothing. Well, sorry to cut, but other than that, nothing clicked or worked with me. I won't say it's a terrible film. Like I didn't walk on the show saying, "Wow, that was a huge waste of time," boy. But it just didn't work. It just lacked the force. It just lacked the ambition. It lacked the intelligence.
right.
Even in the
Yeah.
violence aspect of it, that than the first film, and it
I have
just felt watered down. And I'll just close this with one last thing. It was just painfully clear that you didn't need to remake this thread. Like, there's no need to remake this thread. Like, even right down to, making his suit a little bit more like black in a sense. Like all that stuff. Like why? Like all this stuff was just all these decisions that
yeah.
ultimately just don't work at all, right?
Yeah,
And I'll
they
stop
address
there.
that later. But no, but like okay, so the new one, the remake. Okay, so I have a slight soft spot to the remake because I'm a big fan of the director, Joseph Padilla. He did one of probably my favorite documentary ever, a movie called Bus 174. Right, that movie
Oh
kicks
yes,
ass.
yes, yes. I love that film. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw it too.
He did. Yeah, that movie kicks ass. He did the Elite Squad films, which is like, well, kind of like a RoboCop but for Brazil. It was kind of weird that so him getting this made sense.
Right.
But well, the rating sucked. Like it was like a big reason why it didn't work is because the rating. He kind of fucked that up, and yeah, it's unfortunate. Like they really could have sit down and like make it work. But again, if it had a proper R rating, it would have been fine. At least I think it would have been fine. I'm not sure if it would have been great. You can't live up to the original.
Of course, yeah. It was painfully clear with that remake.
Right.
Yeah.
But they I don't know. I would have liked to see them. I don't know, they could have probably make it more international or do something different with it. Or something. But however, it didn't work.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, Ricardo, how you got into the first film and just your thoughts on the franchise and the remake.
Right. So 3 letters. VHS.
You lucky bastard, you.
My cousin was our cousin older than me about 4 years. Yeah, he was super into like a lot of 80s shit, and especially like Predator and RoboCop. And yeah, I saw RoboCop for the first time by his friend. So I think he used to live in Digo. His friend in neighbor used to watch us on TV. I saw Star Wars by them for the first time. I saw a bunch of shit by them for the first time. That's
okay. I saw Star Wars on EVM of all places. Huh?
So yeah, just watching a bunch of shit for the first time, and yeah, RoboCop was on the list. I remember seeing this and being like, thinking it's so weird and cool, and it's like, yeah, it's a robot, but he's a cop. That's so cool, though. That weird and interesting. And yeah, so that's how I feel about it. It does the first film, just taking a teen, how dread and violent it is. I didn't get the depth of it because, okay, at the time when I was a child, I always enjoyed RoboCop 2 more than I did RoboCop 1, right? Because yeah, RoboCop 1.
I assume it's because of when it came out, right?
Well, yeah, but it's just the RoboCop 1 was much more nuanced, and it just kind of went over my head now. And RoboCop 2 was the one that just kind of stick with it in the conceit much more. That's why it works. So even though RoboCop 2 don't work so all that well, you see what I'm saying, right? Like for a child,
I do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's that. So, but like when you actually like sit down and think about it, you realize, oh no, RoboCop 2 is clearly the inferior film. That's not my question. So like eventually, the one that's implanted that as a better film, and you think about it as a better film overall, in my personal opinion. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. And eventually, subsequent viewings and watchings and thinking about it, that how great of it as a script, Then, well, Verhoeven as a director over the period of years, like, yeah, okay, his American stuff is not all that great on average, but but his international career is amazing. You know, Soldier of Orange, and you have a bunch of great scripts. You know, he had a long flourishing career in Holland long before came to America. So yeah, it's just over time. I think, as I said, I saw RoboCop 3 in thing in Kedana. It was rubbish, pretty bad. Doesn't work at all. But you know, whatever. That's about it. Yeah, I have virtually no memory of the cartoon. As
All
well.
right, but do you at least remember the live action series?
I have very vague memory of that. Again,
Okay, okay.
I don't remember watching it. Like here's the thing, I remember shit like Super Force over that. If you know what Super Force is, like
No, I do. I do.
yeah,
Yeah. But
right.
but here's the funny part, right? Like long after Super Force and Cop something, that was like in the early 90s when AVM was like on air, right? I think it was like somewhere in the mid to late 90s that they used to drop RoboCop, and that actually like surprised me, now.
Yeah,
I always thought like, the franchise was kind of like dead, and then all of a sudden I see this TV series. I can't for the life of me. I didn't even know what year it was from. Like I knew it was from the 90s, of course, but I can't say it was 98 or whatever, like
right.
same year that it's shown on TV. But I
But
know that,
well, that's the thing with the 90s. It was just littered with like conceits of RoboCop. Like everything was just ripping off RoboCop in some way. Because yeah, it was super cheap to do that. Like, it was a popular brand. You could just so I just remember everything that was somewhat like RoboCop. So here's a show that's like RoboCop, but not really. Mantis, right? Stuff like that.
oh yes, I
Right.
remember that show.
Right. And
That
then
was
have all
from
kind of
TTT actually. Yes.
right. And then have all kind of shows are just a working report for RoboCop in some way. Because all you need to do is just get a guy in a suit. The suit, especially the suit, don't have to look all that good. And die all you're spending your money on, and everything else is just normal thing. You don't have to do no sort of special effects, no sort of CG, nothing like that. And yeah, you're sure right there. So that's how I always felt about the franchise in that sense. It's like it very influential, but the movie itself, people forget how great the movie is. Like that's the one thing about it. So yeah, like finally get into it.
All right, yeah, let's, right. So as you said before, this is directed by Paul Verhoeven, right? The music is done by Basil Polidoris.
Mhm.
You would know him from films like Conan the Barbarian, still one of my all-time favorite film scores, right? The design itself of RoboCop is done by Rob Button, and the Ed 209 scenes were handled by Phil Tippett. So that's basically some
Yeah,
stop
yeah,
motion work, right? Which
yeah.
like
Yeah,
still holds
no,
up,
it
but
was
still kinda
it wasn't stop motion. It was go motion, if I remember correctly.
or go motion. Okay,
Yeah, he
okay.
used go motion techniques in it as well. Again, all the little small things was really clever with that. Well, but we'll get to that. Yeah,
Yeah, we'll get to that, right? So the film opens with this media break news broadcast, right? You give us 3 minutes and we'll give you the world, right?
right.
And for me, like just watching it over again, right? This is literally, yesterday time for us recording this, right? Just a mere decision to open your movie with a segment like this is mind blowing in my opinion, right? And I just love how it just sticks to its own script, right? So you get like these two brief reports, right? Some like what I always love about these news reports, right, is that this, even though like for me, right, I may not know everything about American history in the early 80s up to 87, right? Especially with Reaganomics and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
right? But like the stuff going on around the world that they touch on, this they feel real, and it's set in not too distant future, right? So it sounds plausible. It sounds like, yeah, I mean, in the next few years, this country could invade this other country and there could be some kind of war or some kind of thing like that. It sounds real. It sounds like authentic, right? So, like, if there's one show I could always compare this movie to is, my all-time favorite movie, A Clockwork Orange, in the sense that it feels like a realistic lived-in future. This is not a world with flying cars like, say, Blade Runner. It feels like, yeah, in like 5 years from now, this is how the world is going to be, right? So even in the news reports here, they sound totally logical, right? So I just love, like, in terms of just this film alone too, with the media break segments, you get commercials, right? And the commercials and all kind of tell you the world that
Right.
that is set up here, right? So yeah, the main theme here with this film is capitalism, right? That's what's being poked at, that's what being explored and addressed at, right? So
Yeah.
the first ad is like this doctor who's talking about like family heart. This, I think it's right, the family heart center. Like you could tell he wearing this fake wig, and it's just how he talk and all that kind of stuff now. But even in that little bit there, you learn that, oh well, like it kind of hinted the film's idea of resurrection or immortality, right? Just in that little bit there, you know what I mean? And I thought that was a really smart choice, right?
Yeah, it's Verhoeven. Yeah, it basically is a lot of it is just Verhoeven, looking at American culture from the outside. Like it's
Yes.
one of those who could really like pull that off reasonably well with his films. You see it a lot more with Starship Troopers, but with this, I find it's a lot more interesting and subtle in its conceit, and it makes it work for what it is. Again, it's supposed to be over the top, but like, yeah, you could see people in a world like this. And like, look, we live in a world where a game show host get through as president of the United States. So yeah, not too far
Yep.
fetched, right? So
That's right. Yeah.
yeah, it's all this conceits of that.
Right.
So that's all I like to think about it is that it it a little prescient. Like there's a great so I think this make my list of I think best of 2021 and best 2020, and I call this our dystopian movie future. And what it was about, that was Cody Johnson of Summer News. And they basically did a rundown of why it is that so many like 80s comedies and 80s sci-fi shows talked about like now. Because yeah, they kind of just show the projection of it. And yeah, RoboCop was at the top of the list, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Oh well, of course.
Yeah. Of just nailing like what the 2020 is gonna be like. Like I did kinda on point. I mean, sorry. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
yeah. So
Watching it again, like yeah. Right. So after that commercial now, you hear that basically 3 cops were killed, right? And the police union leaders are blaming OCP, right? That's Omni Consumer Products, right? That's this firm that pretty much runs the Detroit Metropolitan Police Department, right? And then you learn like later on that the some policemen want to go on strike, right? That
right.
actually shows back up later on in the film, right? So Dick Jones now, the
Right.
division president of OCP now, he basically responds by saying that every cop knew what they signed up for when they joined the force. He says if you can't stand the heat, stay out the kitchen. I get the logic, but that is such a poor excuse. But you can understand a man
again,
like him, especially when you learn about how he does move. Yeah, you could understand why he would say some shit like
so
that.
so they nailed the capitalist hellscape concept, right? Like it's just privatized police force, right? Terrible idea. So let's find out how and why. And they carry it to its logical end. What I like about RoboCop 2 is that it doesn't like try to have a super big message about it. Right? The story is really just one personal story. The bad guys won and they continued winning in the end of the film. Like, OCP won. OCP took over. It had nothing that was stopping them from building. Well, it sets up to build up Delta City. And the major conflict in the franchise is really between Dick and what do you call him? Oh gosh, the other guy, it's a
Morton.
Yeah, what was the actor's name? By
Miguel Ferrer.
Miguel Ferrer. Yeah, right.
R.I.P. Miguel Ferrer, by the way.
Yeah. So exactly, little things like that. Like that's your main conflict of the storylines between the two of them. Everything else is just the only reason that he get away with what he get away with is because Dick just did not like this idea of a cyborg police officer. It kind of skews him out a little bit. Like it still have shades of morality, and varying degrees of morality in it. I like that. It's surprisingly subtle in the script. It's a smarter script than people give it credit for.
I agree. Like I was like really taking in this thing. I was like, wow, this script real smart, boy. Like
it's a smart script. Pretty much
real smart.
It's pretty much what the smart thing you will do. Like what you're gonna do in a situation like this. If you're writing up this script, what should you do? What's the smart thing should be done? And yeah, they just sit down and make it work for what it is. The second film doesn't fall apart because it just kind of played like too straightforward and obvious. And the second film just don't work. Even though I think it has some okay ideas as a sequel, there's a shockingly good meta conceit with the second film. It still falls apart and it doesn't really work for its own right. But the first film, they nailed it. Like they just absolutely nailed what to do with it, why, how this going, where Murphy's arc should go, and how. Yeah, I can't be mad at any of it.
Right. So so basically back to the whole shooting and whatnot, right? So one survivor who's actually in critical condition identifies a Mr. Clarence Boddicker, right? This is this crime boss basically / drug kingpin in old Detroit, right? And yeah, in case you're wondering, the guy himself doesn't make it. The cop dies, right? All right. So now we're introduced to Alex Murphy, right? Played by the great, Peter Weller, right? Have not seen him in films in a while. Believe it or not, the last time I saw him was in a little film that I actually really like, but I know you wasn't a huge fan of Star Trek Into Darkness.
Right. That was the last thing. But what he was in, but I think he do some voice work recently. I don't know. I don't look up. Yeah, Star Trek in the Darkness is the last thing I remember him in. Something he was in
Yeah,
recently.
and of course, he was in the Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai,
Right,
classic
classic shit like
cult
that,
film,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, they right. So they wanted to do, if I remember correctly, with this now, I think they wanted like a bunch of like classic action stars for this. Like Arnold was pitched at one point, like so and so. But the main reason he was there is because of his body. He got a real lanky kind of body, and it fit him super well. And
Oh, okay,
he,
okay.
he also, if I remember correctly, he had some physical skills. I think either dancing or like he just knew good choreography from before, or no, mime work, if I remember correctly. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so
Some
that would explain how he's able to pull off the robotic moves now.
Right.
Oh,
So, yeah,
nice,
he had some
nice.
training, some mime work, if I remember correctly. He worked under some mime person back in the days, some big mime person. You could probably tell me, you could probably look it up and tell me who it was. But yeah, that's pretty much like the core thing of it. He was kind of probably the best choice you could go with. I can't remember if he was casted before. I can't remember if he was casted before Verhoeven came on board. I cannot remember. But yeah, so that's about it.
All right, all right. Yeah, so basically he is a cop being transferred from, Metro South, right, to,
Mhm.
well, this precinct here, which is Metro West, right? I love that the first thing the captain, this, yes, in retrospect, it does play into the angry captain, right?
Yeah.
Where he says, we work for a living down here, get your arm and suit up. I just love that. Like, just right off the bat, it's like, yo, this is a war zone we in, but you know that already, so you know what you got to do, right? So there you go, right? Anyway, so Murphy is paired with Anne Lewis, who is played by
Yeah.
Nancy Allen, right?
Right.
Who's established early
Great,
on as
great
a
casting, by
badass.
the way.
Yes, I
Because I think
agree.
she was, yeah, if I remember, I don't know if she was the second choice. I can't remember. She was the
Oh, she
second or the,
was. Oh,
I think
okay.
second or the third choice. I can't remember. Because basically she was like, yeah, she don't look like that at all. So she, I think they Verhoeven had told her to cut her hair. And I think her dad is a cop. So that's where she gets some of her
Huh.
training, like how to hold guns and little stuff like that. No?
All right.
Yeah, it's little tidbits like that. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. And she's established early on to be a badass because there's a
Yeah,
moment where
she's great.
she's like
Yeah.
subduing this suspect, right, who's being unruly, right? Great moment actually, right?
Yeah.
And now we get to the legendary Ed 209 scene, boy. One of the most glorious scenes in this movie, yeah, bar none, right? So it begins with this board meeting at OCP, right? And basically it's announcing the construction of Delta City. That's to replace old Detroit, right? In 6 months' time, right? But the problem, of course, is crime, right? And the existing police force could only do so much, right? So what the city needs, according to Mr. Dick Jones now, is a 24-hour day police officer, right? Which on paper makes sense, right? So now we're introduced to enforcement
I
droid.
forget is Dick Jones is what? Yeah, you mentioned Ronnie Cox, right?
Yes. It's him. Yeah.
Right. So what funny about this is that Ronnie Cox has always played like a good guy on TV. Like he's kind of going against type actually. With this role.
Okay.
I know Ronnie Cox mostly from his role in Star Trek. He has a one episode. Right, it's a great two-parter. He plays one of the best goddamn characters in Star Trek.
Oh, word. Okay.
A character called Captain Jellicoe. But yeah, that is what I know him for. But yeah, it's Ronnie Cox. He have a bunch of rules. He's not that guy.
Yeah. He got range. He got range, right?
Mm.
Right. So here now we're introduced to the future of law enforcement. I love how they call him that, right?
Yeah,
The Enforcement Droid Series 209, right? And this in terms of like the design of it, or just it being a character. It is, in my opinion, one of the most iconic robot characters ever put to screen, though. Just that bulky design, the voice, the way how it moves. Yeah. I just love that design.
What I love about that 209 is how, like, again, the corporate kind of oversight and just somebody just not getting little simple things like, well, they spend millions, if not billions of dollars in this goddamn thing. And little simple things like they just forget to take out the ammo, when doing the demonstration. Or the fact that this thing just can't navigate stairs for some reason, like little bullshit like that. That make perfect sense because again, like little stuff like so one of the big things about the Iraq War is the fact that they do all of this bullshit to do this, that, to the other, but they couldn't get like simple shit done when it comes to like the bathrooms or something like that. They do nonsense like that, or they couldn't get the power on because they hook up to the grid. Little simple, like the engineer's just not there to solve a problem because of bureaucracy and nonsense. And yeah, we kind of call that since then. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
there's this kind of
Um, but
yeah,
but
this
but
yeah,
lastly, in terms of just the design, well, I should say the movement of Ed 209, right? Even though it moves jerky, because of the graphics, or sorry,
oh,
the
sure,
visual effects being used here,
yeah,
it still adds to the character though, because yeah, it's a lumbering giant of a machine, so it
yeah,
kind
no,
of moves jerky. I like that,
yeah,
I
no,
really like that.
Tappet nail it in for what it was. I know this was one of those budget things. Like I know they had to kind of go on the cheap with this. That's why
Yeah,
it was
it's kind of similar to like what Stan Winston did on the first Terminator. It's that
right.
same sort of effect style that.
But yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately, like because you have a lot of match shots in this movie and whatnot. All of that is just cutting the corners and making sure you had to go under budget. But yeah, no,
and it's the 80s. I mean, a lot of movies were doing that
was doing that
anyway.
shit anyway. Yeah. No, what was brilliant about Phil Tippet's work on this is that he just all the little small things of when Ed 209, like when RoboCop smoke him in the ending with the gun.
Mm.
You see his little toe twitching at the ending and little things like that.
Yeah, I love the toes, that
Yeah,
tree toe thing that he have. Yeah, I
exactly.
love that. Yeah,
Yeah, they just make a bunch of good calls in terms of the craftsmanship on display here.
right. But in terms of this sequence, though, I just love how it builds tension, right? So there's a moment where Ed is walking down, and you just see like everybody in the meeting just kind of get up, like, oh my god, right? Because he's just moving closer towards the table now, and then it actually stops, right? So Mr. Kinney, poor Mr. Kinney, right?
Yeah.
He's assigned the task of playing a perp, right? So he's given a gun. Well, he's given Dick's gun. Take a note of that,
Right.
and he's told pretty much to use it in a threatening manner, right? And he's also told to point it at Ed 209, right? So Ed is like, please put down your weapon. You have 20 seconds to comply, right? Kenny puts the gun down, but Ed is still like, all right, you have 15 seconds. You have
Yeah.
10 seconds, right? Everybody like flipping out now, wondering what to do, right? And I don't know who came up with this decision though, but to have Ed do this growl like this, like a roar, sorry, like a lion
Yeah.
roar, I thought was brilliant, Jed. He really had a stress on how intimidating this thing is, though. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it totally works.
I
Right?
just
I
I just
still in
love
the
again
bitch.
what is just crack me up about this scene is like they decide to give this thing live ammo in the demonstration.
I
Like
know.
who you gonna shoot? Well, apparently Mr. Kinney.
Yeah. So, everybody flipping out is like, pull the plug, pull the plug, right? And like the scientists trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, but
But
too late.
yeah, but dog is how it riddles Kinney with bullets too.
Right. And
Um
they toned this down, because I think Verhoeven has a cut with much longer.
okay, well,
We
I saw the uncut version actually. Well,
right.
I should
Right,
say
no, but
it's the one
there's
that
a
was released through Arrow Films last year or year before,
right.
which I've been dying to get on Blu-ray, but I need that in my life, Chad.
Yeah.
And in terms of just that death scene though, and it's bloody. If it's one thing the show has a lot of his blood scripts, boy, my God, right?
You know.
What makes the scene so ironic though is that he falls on top of the Delta City model, which
Yeah.
is white, or which is already painted in white, right? And he covered that shit red with
Mhm.
blood, And I love the guy who behind the controls, he had the balls to say, "Oh, Ed didn't hear the gun drop."
You know.
Like, come the
Dummies.
fuck on, now, man.
Yeah.
Really?
Real
That's your
dummies.
big excuse. He didn't hear the gun drop. What? But I love that scene though. Yeah, I mean, yes. Just to touch on the whole violence aspect of it, right? Yes, when you look at it now, it is over the top, right?
Yeah.
But I was actually surprised that even back then critics kind of found it so over the top. It was kind of comical in a sense now.
Yeah,
Like I
right.
actually watched
No, fair.
Siskel and Ebert's review of it, and they were actually like really like surprised by how comical the violence was. Even
Yeah.
Roger Ebert and all was laughing, like cracking up at that one scene. But like when you hear about the content of RoboCop, you think, oh, back then people was like, no, this is too violent and we should ban it. But it's like, yeah, it's violent, but it's just so over the top though. We
Yeah.
can't, we're not sure if it will get if it fits our R rated though. So hence the trimming and whatnot. But if you look at it now, it's like, yeah, it's violent, but it's not like gross out or like the worst thing ever. Or like, oh, ban, it should be forever banned, or it should have like this black cloud over it. It's like, no, it's violent, but it's meant
No,
to make a
Verhoeven.
point of
I
just back
thought
then.
yeah, and I thought Verhoeven nailed the conceit, like the balance so well. Like just yeah, we know what you're getting, but at the same time,
Yes.
it's like, all right, well, that is part of it too, like the whole farce versus tragedy conceit. Like that way he just say, look, this is a complete nightmare, and because it's so farcical, it's part of the nightmare. Like it's so silly now, but it's like, yeah, a man really dead, though. Like, what going on here? Though? Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, it's comical in my opinion, yeah. But yeah, at the same time, no, a man just got riddled, like pumped to death with bullets.
Exactly,
Like,
and then people
that's
just
like
casual. People just casual about that too. Like they just move on now. Like okay, yeah. They all think his life is cheap, right? Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah. So the OCP boss now, which you call the old man, right? Of course, he blames Dick for this misfire, right? Haha, right? So luckily, Mr. Bob Morton, who is played by Miguel Ferrer, right? He has a fallback plan, right? This is his RoboCop project, right? So I love how opportunistic he is. Is like, so I have this program here, and I can have this up in like about a few months, So and the woman was like, yeah, cool. I'll give you some money and you get this thing rolling. I love that. I just and afterwards, Morton talks to his friend like, yo, that's what you had to do, Dre. You had to sneak in and take the opportunity. Like I love that about the character.
Yeah, and is he kind of coming up for Dick job almost now? That's what I say. The real battle was really Dick versus Morton. That's what it was. Everybody else is just kind of in between all of that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. So back to Alex Murphy, right? So here he's pretty much doing this Western-inspired gun flip thing, right?
Right.
And I just love, like, in terms of, especially when you look at it now, right? The idea of, even though you can look at it now, it's like it's a propaganda film, but it's the 80s, right? So whatever, right?
Yeah, that discourse has come after. Not what discourse now.
Yeah, well, what I mean though is basically what he says is like because Lewis asks him why he does that gun flip thing is like, well, my son watches this show called a cop show called TJ Laser, right? I guess it's supposed to be a reference to what's the name of that show?
TJ Hooker.
Yeah, TJ Hooker, right?
Right. So TJ Laser. It took me a long time to get. I was only watching it back. That is a real popular meme and joke in the Mass Effect franchise.
What's that?
TJ Laser. So I forget where that come from. It's like, oh yeah, it's from RoboCop, right?
Right. Yeah. So the idea that Alex is a cop, my son watches this cop show, and he wants to be a cop, so I want to be a role model to him too. I like that. Like I like that. That's what I'm saying. It's just the idea of painting cops as these heroes, right? Which is, I mean, what the show is about anyway. I mean, why I think it's called RoboCop to begin with, right? But yeah, this is the idea that a real cop, kind of get inspired by a fake cop to, do this thing, right? I think that's really cool, right? But anyway, so they pretty much investigate this robbery which Clarence and his goons pull off, right? And we get this pretty kick-ass car chase scene / shootout, right? And, Alex and Lewis pretty much follows Clarence's van into an old mill in Sector 3D. I thought that was so funny, Sector 3D, right? Because he eats, right?
Monica who's Monica again? The father from that 70 show. What's that actor, boy?
God, I know you talk about it, but I can't remember his name for the life of me right now. Right, so there's a really darkly funny scene, though, in my opinion, where Joe, right, this is the black guy part of Clarence's crew, right?
Can you fly, Bobby?
Yeah. Right, so that's during the fight scene. Sorry, that's during the chase scene, in case you're wondering, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Lewis tries to arrest him, right? But he's like taking a pistol. And like he pretty much asks her, mind if I zip this up? And you're just looking at Lewis's eyes there because she just staring at his face, right? And she just take one glance down, right? And he end up smacking her gun and smacking her off the platform, and then she falls onto like these falls into a pile of wood, right? And then he just does this ha ha ha, like he just does this high pitched laugh right afterwards. That's what he does. He just does this kind of well, not so much like kind of laughter, but I feel that probably is what inspired that character from Simpsons, right?
Probably.
Yeah. So two other goons now. Dougie and Emil, right? Emil is going to be showing up later on this show, right? They are confronted by Murphy, right? Oh, yeah. We will talk about Emil and what happened to him in the end, right? So, so Murphy shoots Dougie in the heart, right? And as Emil reaches for a shotgun, that's when Murphy drops one of the best lines in the movie, "Dead or alive, you're coming with me," right? And then Murphy proceeds to cuff Emil, right? Then afterwards, two goons with shotguns surround, right? Yeah, this show has a lot of shotguns for reasons, right?
Yeah, the
Um,
shotties. You can't go wrong with that
yeah,
shotty.
they're shotties, boy.
Yeah.
So Emil ends up smacking the gun from Murphy now, and then all three approach him, right? And then Clarence finally shows up and with Joe, of course, and then they start to beat Murphy, right? And then this like, all right, so this was the one scene where like you could still watch it now. I'm like, oh, okay, that's why the MPAA had a problem,
Exactly.
like
Yeah, this is where the
releasing
show.
this though.
So like yeah, so
Yeah, boy.
the earlier death is like comical. This was just so goddamn brutal and traumatizing.
Yes, boy.
For me,
It's
when I
so
see this for the first time, I
merciless.
was like, could I have this one scene, the part where he lose his hand, dread? Like, god damn, that real
Yeah,
dread, though.
boy. It
Yeah,
is
it's real
just
brutal.
right. So yeah, so he does get his right hand blown off.
Yeah,
That's like the first thing that happened. And boom, right? And then Clarence had the balls to say, "Well, give the man a hand." I'm like,
yeah.
God,
Clarence is such
Clarence,
a
you
good man.
motherfucker, you.
Yeah, Clarence is such a douchebag, but like, it's a great villain, dude. Like, it's just
I
a,
know.
what I like. Okay, so
He's a villain that you love to hate. You love to hate this guy, Jen.
okay, so I can't remember if this was true, but I think Verhoeven wanted him to have the glasses. Like, why you have glasses, right? And the idea was to have him look like Heinrich Himmler, if I remember correctly. I can't remember if that was the intention. But
Okay.
the actor, he was like, yeah, it kind of makes some sense that the idea was him wearing glasses makes him less threatening. Like, you know, you have this kind of balding, goofy looking dude with glasses on. So he's like the last person you'd be threatened. Like, you would see him normal, but he's like a complete fucking psychopath. And that would make him
Yeah,
dangerous. Like you underestimate him now. But yeah, Bodyguard, that would make Bodyguard's a great one. Bodyguard has so much good lines in this movie. Like, God damn.
I know, boy. Right. So yeah, so right after he get the right hand blown off now, then the arm itself get blown off,
Yeah.
right? And then he just basically gets riddled with shotgun shells, right? And just adding to the whole disturbing nature of the scene itself, right? Murphy's still alive through all of this, so he just like
Yeah.
screaming and all that kind of
Just
stuff, right?
pure
And
shock.
then Clarence pretty much ended it off. He just end his suffering by just one shot, boom, with a handgun, through the head,
Yeah.
just boom,
Casual.
headshot,
Yeah.
and that's it. Um, Murphy sent to a hospital, and points still to this day. I love how they do this with the POV shots with the operation.
Yeah.
So it just adds to just how frightening this whole experience is.
Those final moments versus him from becoming a movie to becoming RoboCop.
Yes.
Yeah,
Keep cutting back to
yes.
the shootout with him being shot, and then to a couple of flashbacks with him and his wife and son, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a powerful moment, and well, not surprising, Murphy dies, right? And then suddenly, well, not exactly suddenly, right? But it's clear that time passed, right? Murphy wakes up, but again, keep it with the POV shots now.
Yeah.
Everything looks like we're seeing it from a camera, right?
Right.
Or from a TV set, kind of. If you
This
think
special effect I find this special effect was also pretty impressive for its time.
agreed. Yeah.
There's a very good, a cool, like, great, interesting look to it. I'm like, all right, would.
There's a great moment, simple but great moment, right, where they adjust in the grid, and
Yes.
it's just basically they're drilling it. You're just seeing this grid pattern just going closer and closer to the screen. They're saying, "Jit." It's so simple. And I'm like, this is so. I love this. It's just so smart, though. Like, just the foresight that went into this, though. I love that, right? And here, basically, is where Morton and his team are pretty much finalizing the design of the first RoboCop, right? So months later, RoboCop is finally introduced, right, to the Metro West precinct, right? And the moment RoboCop enters into the building, right?
That shot. Yes, and with the shadow. Yeah.
The shadow and the silhouette basically over the window. I love that, though. But just that that dog, that footprint sound effect, though, is awesome. I love that, right? And let's talk about the awesomeness, right? Even the design and all too of RoboCop is awesome, right?
Here's the thing with
When you look
RoboCop,
at
right?
it now, you could kind of laugh and like, it kind of look a little cheesy now, but I mean, like, think about it. It's the 80s. I mean, it's late 80s, right? Like, they're not going to make like this super awesome badass looking thing, but just in terms of practicality, the way how it looks, the way how he moves, how Peter Weller moves in it, it totally works in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of style over substance moments because like the logic of it kind of clumsy, like he kind of slow and he kind of bulky. But like, that's the idea. The idea is that you had to get something that you get a sense of he's the first in a step of something now. And where you're gonna go in terms of like speed and range and these kind of things. There's one thing that I thought was a big missed opportunity in the remake where they try to make him just fast and insanely quick and that kind of bullshit. I'm like, no. You should have make it work instead of trying to make it more efficient up off the top, they should have it where he kind of clumsy and goofy in that way. In terms of just the evolution of the design. But
Yeah, agreed,
yeah.
agreed. Even like the prime directives, iconic, right?
Right.
Serve the public, trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law, right?
Right.
And there's a nice little bit
Question.
here where there's the fourth directive is revealed to be classified, right? His gun is iconic in my opinion, though.
It's
And how
still
it's
the best
designed from how I see it is basically like if he squeezes the trigger, it just sends out like a small volley of bullets. But if he like kind of taps it a little bit, it just like lets out one bullet. Just that design of it, I love.
Yeah,
I love
is the auto? What's called by the auto?
The Auto 9, the Auto 9.
Auto 9, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It had, right? There's a great moment where he's at the precinct shooting range, and he just tested out the firearm, and everybody's like, "Who the hell is this?" Right?
Yeah.
And this is where, of course, Lewis sees RoboCop for the first time. But then there's a moment where RoboCop flips the gun and puts it in his holster, and then that is when the was like, okay, wait a minute, is this Murphy? Yeah. And I just love that design too. Like there's that section of the leg opens up, and then he puts it inside.
Looks great.
I love that.
Again, there's only little special effects that they make it work. It's a great little animation as well. It looks great. But yeah, the whole flip gun thing is the part. You get the first hint that is all right. The Murphy all gone now. So
yeah. So so on his official day in duty, Dread, or I should say night into duty way. I just really like in retrospect, when you look at it, I was like, all right, all this stuff really could happen in the same night, right? But when you think about it, in this world of old Detroit, it's like, like shit is crazy. So literally every minute is a crime, right? So it's kind of funny seeing RoboCop just hit a spot, solve a crime, hit another spot, solve a crime, and all this the same night, right? So basically, we cut to this random convenience store, right? This guy's watching this TV show, right?
Right.
And this is where we see the the I buy that for $1 show. That's why I call it, right?
Yeah. Wait, is that?
I think it's a show, I think it's an actual show because the other times that you see it in the film, it's different. No, sorry, it's the same scenario, but you see like different lines. So it feels like basically the same gag being told over and over, right?
Right.
But yeah, basically
it's this catchphrase,
yeah, it's this balding old guy and there's these two hot models, and it involves cake for a reason, and he's like, throwing kick at them, and they throw a kick at him, and
it's weird world building of the whole thing. Like again, this is before reality television. Game shows in the 80s are now coming to its full. So yeah, they carry the game show to its weird logical space of you have no idea what the hell going on, but it's just people just goofing about. And
and everybody finds that to be the funniest.
Easy, right? Yeah,
even Emil, Leighton was cracking up at that shit.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
Actually, sorry, my mistake. Actually, before Murphy gets killed in the old mill, they're watching that same show too. I forgot to mention that, right?
Right.
Yeah. So at the convenience store now, this guy shows up again with a shotgun, and he pretty much proceeds to rob the store, right? And before basically he's like, open the safe before I kill your wife, right? So as before he even says 3, RoboCop shows up, right? And then the guy starts firing at RoboCop, right? So he's just saying, fuck me, right? I don't know if this is Paul comparing violence to sex, maybe, or maybe I read into it a little too much, I don't know. Right. But it's kind of weird that that's all he says when he's like firing at him, right? But anyway. No, sorry, it's not a shotgun actually. It's another weapon, right? Yeah, but basically RoboCop bends the gun barrel and then he pretty much clothesline him when he tries to run that, and it sends him into like this nearby fridge, right? Also, I love what just a little side note on this trailer make the joke that there's a lot of like people being smashed through windows in this movie.
Yeah,
there's people just being smashed or thrown into windows, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, we'll get to the scene after, but yeah, go ahead though.
Right. So, and I just love like right afterwards, right before RoboCop leaves, it cuts back to the guy on TV and says, "I'll buy that for $1." So you see, it's about capitalism. Think about it, right? So up next, right? Remember, this is the same night he on duty, right? So he responds to a 4:15, right? So these two crackheads, right? I assume they're crackheads because I find they sound like crackheads trying to rape this woman, right? And points for all this taking place near a banner that says Delta City, the future has a silver lining. That is just so ironic, but I love it, right? So RoboCop shows up just in time, right? And one of the crackheads holds her in front of him with a knife, right? Even to kill her, right? Yeah. And then RoboCop fires a shot, and yeah, it goes through her dress, but it hits him in the dick. I was
Yeah.
like, yes, I love
All
that.
right. So this is the part. This is the part you'll get to. Right. So look up something called RoboCop Scene 27. That took the internet by storm some years back. I forget how long back. I think it was like about a little over 10 years ago. Just look that up and tell me if that is not the funniest fucking thing ever. Look up RoboCop Scene 27. That's all you need to do.
All right, I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna check it out.
That's after we done, you just look that shit up.
Right.
It's funny as hell. But yeah,
I
that's
will.
basically like that's an extension of that scene. But yeah,
Okay.
but yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And then of course before I forget the second line now, or sorry, the second guy now, that's when RoboCop drop, another famous line, your move, creep.
Right.
Love that. Love that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's such a cool moment because it's like it catch you off guard and like, oh shit, that RoboCop do with it. Like you're thinking, oh, you got aim for his head or some bullshit like that. Like no, you have options.
Yeah, protect the innocent, right? That's literally what he says. Protect the innocent, right? Yeah. Up next, right? We have this former city councilman who pretty much decided to take some people hostage on the second floor of City Hall, right?
Yeah.
I mean, oh gosh, boy, all of this in one night, that's it's like the man first night on duty, all this shit happened. But in a really cool moment, right? RoboCop uses this thermograph in his optics now to detect who the terrorist is, right? So he's basically looking at through the wall outside of the office, right? And yeah, he just busts his arms through the wall and pull him out and then throw him through a window. Yes, again, a lot of broken windows. And well, I mean, it's the second floor. So the man dropped to the floor, he lived, right? So it's like, well,
somebody make a point that it's not the reason why it has so much windows is because it's quote unquote broken windows policing. I remember that. That was the funniest thing I remember. Yeah, the whole windows thing that I always have a joke there somewhere. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. That just always thought it's like an 80s thing, right? It's always like, well, I should say a 70s thing, right? Throw somebody through a window, right? That's what people pay to see, right? Or second to explosion. No, second to a car crashing into a tree and blowing up, right? That's what we pay money to see, right? People being thrown through windows, right? But anyway, so now we get another news report now, and RoboCop is pretty much accepted as a hero in the city, right? And then we get an ad for Newcomb, which is so beautifully satiric, Dread, and it's just the lines, Dread. So basically, it's like this nuclear, this WMD version of Battleship, right? So you have lines like, you haven't dismantled your MX stockpile, and they have this little boy who says, Pakistan is threatening my border. I'm like, did he even know what they're talking about in this? But that's the whole point of it, right? The actors, just talking this shit, But just to go back to, just how I love how they touch on, world politics and all that kind of stuff. Even if you don't know what they're talking about, it feels logical. It feels real. It feels like in near future something of this level could happen, and somebody gonna make a game out of it, right?
All right. At the time, Pakistan and India just got nukes. Like that was the whole thing there. So yeah, that's what you reference to. I forget when they get nukes. Or they might have gotten it a little after, or like that was in the news now. So yeah, it's in the script. So like 20 years from now, Pakistan and India probably actually had a nuclear exchange. You're not sure,
right?
Or possibly.
Yeah. But again, though, it's just smart satire, right? But anyway, right? So Morton now, who is now vice president of OCP now, he pretty much tells everybody, just letting everybody know.
Project work, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's successful, right? And yeah, it kind of embarrassing, Dick. Yeah.
Yeah, so he pretty much lets everybody know that, they're going to end crime in Old Detroit within 40 days, right?
Right.
They just one of the famous lines in the movie. There's a new guy in town. His name's RoboCop, right? And in a brilliant piece of like character development, right, we see that RoboCop actually suffers from, well, I would say a version of PTSD. Because, even, right, so there's this chair that's built for him, right? So when he's depowered now, when he's resting, so to speak, right, he has to sit there, right? And he has these scientists that monitor his, pressure levels and all that kind of stuff, right? And he just gets this nightmare of Clarence and his goons shooting him, right?
Right.
At the point that he just kind of wakes up and like that, right? And then he literally gets up and leaves, right? And the scientists trying to control him, but he just kind of walks, right? And then, he's not sleepwalking per se, right? But you could look at it as him being him sleepwalking, but he's not. He's actually awake, right? But he runs into Lewis now, and Wallace introduces herself, right? But then he responds, he just kind of asks him his name now, but he says he doesn't know, right? But then she just kind of notices the voice, like, wait, you're Murphy, right?
Right.
And he just says, well, he have to go somewhere. There's a crime taking place, right? He jumps in his car and he drives off, right? And then we get one of my favorite scenes in the movie now, the gas station scene. This guy in this on this bike roll up, and it just so happened to be we boy Emil, right? So he rocking a Uzi now, and he's just like, yeah, he asks the guy for the money, the clerk who's there, right? And then he's like, now fill it up on number 7. I'm like, God, boy, you can rob the man and then ask him for gas, right? Like but that's the type of guy he is, right? But I always thought, like in retrospect, how convenient it was that RoboCop runs into him. But then again, he's responding to a crime to us. So it's not like
Right.
he would have known that Emil was going to be there, right? But anyway, right? So RoboCop shows up now. Then he drops the dead or alive, you're coming with me, right? Emil remembers that line as the last thing Murphy said before he got shot, right? There's a great moment where RoboCop records Emil's response, right? 'Cause Emil is saying, I know you. You're dead. We killed you, right?
Right.
And that response more or less kind of stuns RoboCop, right? So he's like unresponsive, right? To the point that Emil just pretty much just jumps on his bike and drives off, right? And then he takes a cigarette, throw it, and then because the fuel line is out, right? He didn't put it back in properly. And yeah, the front of the gas station blows up, right? And that I guess wakes up RoboCop, so he just kind of walks towards now, continues walking forward, and he actually managed to hit one of the wheels of Emil's bike, so that sends him more or less careening onto the pavement, right? And well, he comes up to him and he's like, "Who are you?" He's like, "Who are you?" But Emil's all groaning and whatnot, right? So that's that. So, desperate for answers now, RoboCop enters the server room of the precinct, right? And
This
a
is a
really,
cool
really
moment
clever
too.
bit. Really clever bit now.
Yeah.
He had to flip it up. He had to like show it. Well, he flipped it, right? He showed the middle
Yeah,
finger.
but
But actually, what it is,
that
it's like
blade.
this blade, right? But it's
Well,
in the middle.
let's call it a data knife. Effectively, it's a data knife.
Okay, I kind of look at it as sort of somewhat of a flash drive. Like, if you want to be
Right.
simplistic, it's kind of like a flash drive. But yeah,
Right.
it's
Right.
it's
That's
it's,
what
it's
it
his
is.
hacking tool. That's what he
Right.
uses to hack, right? But I just love that it's in the middle portion, like
Yeah.
in the middle knuckle. It comes out there. It's very much like it remember like what was the first X-Men movie with Wolverine and
Right.
where
Right.
the him showing the
With
middle
claw. Right. Yeah.
claw, right? Right. So it's like that, right? And yeah, that's where he learns about Emil's record, and then he learns that he was he belonged to Clarence's group, and they were the ones who pretty much killed, Alex, right? Killed Murphy, right? And he also learns of his home address on Primrose Lane, right? So the next morning he drives there and he learns to learn more about his life, right? Of course the place is cleaned out, so yes, his wife and son,
Yeah. They
moved
moved
away,
there.
right? In the
Yeah.
second film, we learned that she pretty much just kind of move on. There was a really great opportunity in that second film where you see the wife literally come to talk to RoboCop, and he's like, "Well, no, I don't know you." He said she kind of says that, and then she just kind of leaves, and that's it. That's the last time we see it. No, 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 nothing else. That's all we get, right? Which is a huge missed opportunity there, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
This sequence though, where he's pretty much walking around the house and remembering moments, is so emotionally effective though. You really do
Yeah.
feel it for
The
this
score.
guy,
The
just
score.
and,
The
and
score
it's the
for it is
score that
great.
make it work. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right. Bass's score at this moment though is so powerful, way, and it's how and what it does very well too. It kind of frames, RoboCop, and this is like where people built all these theories and how they just kind of explore the film after it was released. Now, it kind of makes him out to be sort of like a Frankenstein character, like he's the
Right.
monster, and him kind of realize like, oh, I'm tortured and no, nobody likes me, and just that moment of him feeling alone, what I mean, and pretty much understanding who he is. He's not human, what I mean. That's
Right.
just such a
And
great
then, well,
moment, right?
I know a lot of great reads of RoboCop. So a couple of modernized reads. The first obvious one is that. The other one is also Jesus allegory. I think Verhoeven himself said, yeah, this was be an American Jesus. The idea of
Yeah.
resurrection. Effect.
Well, cyber Jesus, not to be
Right.
confused
Exactly.
with cyberpunk Jesus. That's Neo from the Matrix. But
Right.
yeah, go on.
And then well, it have a bunch of like a modern like couple of trans readings, a couple of things like that. Where yeah. Once you bring in that conceit, is like the idea of what has happened to this dude, and how he's a kind of victim of the system and what he is, and him getting this little tiny sliver of justice, in the narrative is why it works. Again, it's all Dick and Morton versus each other, but he
Yeah,
just
it
having to
is.
get his little piece of justice and all of this stuff. And yeah,
Of course, right.
that's why the movie works. It's a very surprisingly personal story, though. With
It
all of
is,
this
yeah.
not, this crazy nonsense. Now. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And speaking of justice now, well, RoboCop is like, yeah, I need to find out, I need to get these guys who kill me, right? So he starts off with
Yeah,
Leon
study
Nash,
that.
right?
He's solving his own murder. Like,
Yeah, think
that's what the
about it.
guys have seen nonsense. Yeah.
Right. So he starts off with Leon Nash, right? And he finds him in the middle of the dance floor of this nightclub, right? It's a pretty funny, but it's real dumb on Leon's part, where Leon tried to kick him in the nuts as like
Right.
punk.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I know what they did. It's done for laughs, but it's like, bro, do you not see this armored robot, this robotic character in front of you? Why are you doing that, right? But it's a nice bit. It's 80s humor, but it works, right? But yeah, pretty much he is pretty much captured by well, I should say apprehended by RoboCop, right? Meanwhile, now Morton is in his crib now with two models and he's sniffing lines of coke, right?
Classic.
And doorbell rings now and bomb, it's Clarence, right? Gun in hand. His line though, bitches
Which is
leave.
Classic.
It's so crass, but it works.
Yeah.
It totally works. And then, well, Clarence pretty much shoots Morton in the legs, right? Like he shoots him like 3-4 times in the legs, right? And Morton's all screaming like, "What do you want? What do you want?" Right? I just love how silent Clarence do this, right? He just pull out this CD, or sorry, I think it's a laser disc because I think it's
Well,
the 80s.
yeah, future data storage, whatever.
Yeah, future data storage, right? He puts it in his laser disc player, I think what it is, right?
Yeah.
And it's a recording featuring good old Dick Jones,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah,
Dick, yeah, he just pretty much taunting his soon to be deceased rival, right? They're basically saying, yeah, you know what I mean? You thought you had the upper hand, and I gonna take you down, blah blah blah, right? And then Clarence so dread now he leave behind a grenade.
Yeah.
And you see like Morton like real struggling to pick it up. So the moment he reach, boom, the whole house blows up, right? Great scene, right? So speaking of coke now, Clarence pays a visit now to this coke manufacturing warehouse, right? And he's so dread, right? He just pretty much demanding that the owner give him a volume discount, right? So he set up as that Clarence and his goons, they buy coke with stolen money and then they sell the coke for a higher price, right? So early on, they say it's called free enterprise, right? That's what Dougie said before he got shot, right? And Clarence is just such a cocky motherfucker, Dread, that he really like bum rushing this guy like, yo, if you don't give me a discount, I gotta kill all of you right now, And I just watch this man like the balls of this dude, Dread, to come into this place and say, yo, you better give me a discount, else I gotta kill all of you. And then the man is like, all right, cool, yeah, you know what I mean? Just so like, look, like that man real Dread, I wouldn't lie, right? And well, surprise, RoboCop shows up, right?
Right.
And then he drops one of my favorite lines in the entire franchise: "Come quietly, or there will be trouble."
Yeah.
I just love how he delivers that.
There's a quick
trouble.
pause. Yeah, the pause. Yeah, the
Yeah.
ellipses. Yeah.
Right, and then we get this kick-ass shootout where basically the goons is going all E-team on RoboCop, right? Where they're just hitting everything around him, to the side of him, and at him as well too. And RoboCop is just like one shot, blah, or just one small little volley of shot, brah, brah, and it's just people dropping like flies, right? And he just makes it look so easy, right? Clarence tries to escape by jumping onto a roof, and then, well, it just caves onto him, right? And he falls straight to the floor. I thought that was a really clever moment, right? So RoboCop proceeds to arrest Clarence, and Clarence, being the asshole that he is, start cussing him out, right? And actually, after pretty much being thrown through three windows, Clarence just spills the beans, right? He's just like, it's
more broken windows policing.
Yeah, boy. It's like it was Dick all along, and he runs OCD, and OCD runs the cup, right?
Yeah, give him up one time, right? Yeah, I remember.
And in a great moment, RoboCop record that confession. I like that. It's like, that's real clever. I like that, right? So after dropping off Clarence to the precinct, now RoboCop heads straight to OCP, right? So Dick now, who's aware of all this because he has this special tracker designed to monitor RoboCop's movements, now he prepares for his attack, right? So in the process of arresting Dick now in his office, now something goes wrong, right? RoboCop is alerted of a product violation, right? Capitalism, right? And it causes his reflexes to slow down, right? And then, well, Dick reveals that this is due to Directive 4, right? Which is any attempt to arrest a senior officer of OCP results in shutdown, which is a great twist. Great, fantastic twist, right? So Dick now then activates Ed 209 to attack RoboCop, right? So yeah, shit just getting crazier here, right? And what's so funny about all this, right? What's so brilliant about this and around at the same time, right? With all the firepower this thing have, all the brute strength this robot have, right? it get defeated by a flight of stairs.
You know. Yeah.
That is some smart writing, Jay. That
Yeah,
is
exactly.
a street level
Just
smart
share.
writing.
Yeah, there's share corporate oversight. They just can't see. They can just navigate something like that because they didn't think it like it had to walk over stairs sometimes. Maybe. It's so the logic is that it is gonna be outside in some platform somewhere or in front of some door or in the streets now. Like it'll never have to navigate stairs. They didn't think of that. Yeah, that is how they do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so well done, right? So a damaged RoboCop, okay, yeah, he got damaged in the attack with Ed, right? He makes it onto the ground floor, right? And a squad of policemen are there. And here, in my opinion, this is where
Great
we
scene
get,
too.
in my opinion,
Yeah.
if yes, it is hands down the most memorable scene in the movie.
Yeah.
But I would say it is the most violent scene in the movie, bar none, right? But I'll tell you why, right? It's not graphic into like compared to when Murphy got killed, right? But is the excess that's being shown on screen and make that
Yes.
scene that makes the scene stand out, right? Because
This is
essentially what it is,
Verhoeven.
right?
This is Verhoeven, like just calling out American police officers, I think. But
Yeah.
so you always hear these stories of like okay, in my generation, my time, right? If anybody know who Mohammed Diallo is, that is like one of the most
Yes, I
famous
remember him. Yeah.
You're right. It's one of the most famous stories about. So you always hear these stories about police as real overloading on people now. So it look over the top, but no, that shit has happened for real.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So just to describe the scene for a bit, right? So essentially, if you want to take the Frankenstein motif of the film, this is the villagers,
Right.
with the pitchforks and the torches going after him, right?
Right.
That's what the scene is. That's what it is, right? Him at the old the windmill. It's that scene, right? And early on when it comes, it's like, he's one of us. But, Dick is like, no, he's a threat, fire at him, right? And it's just the excess firepower that they pump into this guy, right? I know throughout the show, you just see like a bunch of guys, like, they would just fire at him and just be like, oh, okay, we fire a clip, all right, that work, and then RoboCop will respond, right? But imagine about 20 or so cops, Dread, firing clip after clip after clip at this guy, Dread, and he is just being so overpowered, right? And then Basil's music comes in, and it just makes the scene even more impactful, and you just feel so sorry for RoboCop at this moment, but it's to the point that you think this guy is going to die, Dread. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I mean
It's
that
how-
this is
it's
the
how,
most violent scene because of how you just really feel it in your gut, boy. Like, nah, boy, like these guys just like they're killing one of their own, Dread, and it's just so. It's so ungrateful, you know what I mean? What's going on, right?
No,
so
but it's
how it's pulled off too.
Yeah, what make it look is how Murphy walking away, how he's struggling and catching the ass. And yeah,
Yes, boy. And
yeah.
honestly, it's a hard scene to watch here,
Yeah,
but it works, boy. It totally works, and you get the point where you really get what Paul coming from with that scene, boy. There.
But the person I remember, Amadou Diallo, not Mohamed Diallo. Sorry.
Right. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, but it just nailed that whole conceit of it. It's like, hey, boy, he just relics, man. No, yeah, him struggling, him getting up again. The mind work there. You really selling the body language of it.
Peter Weller, yeah. And even more ironic, Dread, is a friggin' company man telling all you to do this, Not some police captain, a company man just come and say, you
exactly.
fire and kill this cop right now, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's such a great scene, you know what I mean? But yeah, thankfully, RoboCop crawls and rolls and falls his way onto the lower section of the of this car park, of the car park, right? The OCP
right. If I remember correctly, this had some real good this is where they had the most clever matte painting stuff because seeing how basically how tall the buildings are. They're taller than they should look.
Right. Yes. You're right. Yeah.
So stuff like this, really convincing how far you fall, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yes. Lewis shows up. It's kind of convenient that she show up, but whatever. It's an 80s movie, whatever, and saves her, right? And he made a decision, right, to follow that scene with a car commercial, right? And there's this stop motion dinosaur is walking through a city, real Godzilla style kind of shit going on, right? And it's for what is it? It's for the Sox 6000.
Sox 6000. Yeah.
But how I saw it, like in terms of how it comes in right after that really impactful scene, right? I think what it's trying to say metaphorically is RoboCop the dinosaur or the car, right? But when you really think about it, see that as a commercial, he's kind of both. He's kind of both. He is a product, right? And it's just kind of meant to sell something, but it could be easily disposed of. Hence, what we saw earlier there with that shootout, right? But that decision alone is subtle, but I just love that decision to just put this car commercial right after this really brutal shootout, right? Brilliant, right? So even more, well, I mean, adding to the irony, right, is this, well, the news report, right? The top story is that some laser cannon from some space station fired accidentally at some homes in Santa Barbara,
Yeah.
and, well, cops are striking because of the cop killings, right? But
Mhm.
nothing about that shootout at the OCP building, the night
Right.
before.
Yeah. Nothing about RoboCop.
Absolutely nothing about
And
that.
it's a big cover up because he killed Morton. He kind of want to kill the project too now. Yeah, they have no news about RoboCop. And even though like just prior to that, he was a big celebrity. Though. Nothing about it because they kind of wanted to slowly kill the project and everybody go forget.
Yeah, exactly. So Clarence now, well, he's free apparently, right? So he visits
Right.
Dick at his office, right? Dick pretty much, well, he make him out for spilling the beans on him, of course. He, well, to be fair, Clarence didn't know that RoboCop was recorded his confession, right?
Yeah, you
But
don't know the
yeah,
limits
Dick
of
was
RoboCop.
like, dog,
Yeah.
the man's record shit. So what the hell, Joe? You spilling beans? What the fuck, right? But
Right.
anyway, right? So he pretty much orders Clarence now to kill RoboCop, right? But he promised him that when Delta City is being established, he could be the one that's running the vices. So that's gambling, drugs, prostitution, all that kind of stuff, right? While construction going on there. That's how much of a motherfucker Dick is. He not even gonna wait until Delta City is constructed. He doing
Yeah.
this during the construction. But anyway, right?
That's
Um,
genius.
yeah, and Clarence is given the RoboCop tracker, and he's given access to some military guns. I love this a
Again,
moment where it's like, where you get those guns
favorite,
from? It's like,
another
dude, we
favorite.
are the military. No,
Yeah.
we're pretty much the military. I love
Yeah.
that line.
Yeah. No. What another favorite? You know, it sci-fi gun for me. This gun.
Oh yes, that, what seems, well, you get to the gun in a bit, right? But what seems like to me is pretty much like it's meant to, like, is that even so much to bring down tanks, Dread? It's like
Yeah.
pretty much to bring down anything, Dread. So like, the way how it's designed with the long barrel, like it's clearly meant to bring down tanks and whatnot. But
Yeah, it's
yeah, that man
anti-tank
rocking
rifle.
that like normal, like, yeah, we toted this shit around like,
Yeah.
like
Nice,
it's a
nice,
normal
nice
automatic
thing. It's a
weapon.
light. Yeah, it's a light anti-tank weapon, effectively.
Oh, okay. That
Right.
right. That's what it is. That's what it is. Right. But right. Meanwhile, now, so Louis, so pretty much Murphy is hiding at the old mill, right? And Louis kind of shows up with some, what she bring, baby food, because they established early on that's
Right.
where he gets his sustenance from. And she also brings some tools for the man. So he bring this cordless drill, which RoboCop uses to remove his helmet, right? And this is where we
It's a
get to the
great,
iconic
great
reveal
effect.
of Murphy's
Yes.
face within
Yes.
that metallic head. If there's one thing you always remember about RoboCop,
Yeah.
is seeing the human face with that metallic head around him. I love that scene. Great scene. Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, yeah, no. There's some fantastic costume design, Jared. Like stuff the real whole up, Jared. Like it looks so good. All the all the little switches and you see the little screws where it is and what cut it into the flesh and what's stopping where's machine and where's man is great.
I agree. Yeah, totally. Points for that customer design, right? So yeah, the police strike is going on right now. So yeah, a bunch of looting and crazy shit taking place, right? And here's where you see Emil now, just like he just there watching while he's watching this TV in this electronic store. And ironically, it happens to be the same. I'd buy that for $1 show, right? And then he just like, well, like I think he just kind of noticed people just start looting the place. So he just like, fuck it, let me just smash the window. But you're thinking you're gonna steal the TV. He's like, no, he just raises the TV and starts laughing, right? That's just to show the mindset he's at right now. He just okay, right? But anyway, Clarence and his goons show up. Joe show up talking about how he was freed. Well, he pretty much just kind of walk out the precinct. He still do the ha 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 laugh and all that kind of stuff, right? I love this moment where he rolls up in one of the 6,000 sucks cars, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Clarence is like, "Yo, look at the guns I get, Trent." And he's like, yo, let me try this out. And Clarence ended up taking one and ended up shooting Joe's car.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe's like, yo, what you do that for? But, I like the fact that, Clarence just give Joe a gun and he just start blowing up shit too. And it's like, yeah, the car don't matter. What matters now is the power I have in my hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just those subtle things, what means, what we really put value into. For 1 second it was a gun. Sorry, 1 second it was a car. The experience is a gun, right? So it's the little things in this movie that I absolutely love, right? All right, so pretty much afterwards, after Clarence and his goons like literally blow holes into the street, right? They proceed towards the mill, right? Because remember, Clarence have the tracker, right? And you get a sweet little shootout that takes place between RoboCop and the bad guys, right?
Yeah.
In one moment, RoboCop stands in front of a vat of toxic waste,
Yes.
and Emil is like trying to run over RoboCop now, and RoboCop just fire a few shots at the windshield. He sidesteps now, and then the van crashes, right? So Emil steps out of the van, and he literally looks like the Toxic Avenger, which is funny because even that particular movie was, had extreme but still bordering on cartoonish violence as well too, right? But there's a really like darkly funny bit where he runs into Leon, right? He's like, "Help me!" And it's all like the man like bottom lip like stretch all the way to his chin. And Leon's like, "No, don't touch me!"
But
that creature design, if you want, well, I should say makeup.
This is great.
Emil at this point though is great. It's 80s, monster shit, right? But it totally works though. But yeah, anything you have to say about Emil's transformation?
Oh yeah, that classic scene, boy. Because the part after when he walk out. That still cracked me up to this day.
Oh, well, let me just get to that scene one time, though. That scene is so brilliant, right? So, while Clarence is like driving away from Lewis, right? Because they have their little chasing going on, he like accidentally runs into Emil, right? Because he looks behind, right, to see where Lewis is, and then he turns front. Push, step on the brakes, and then literally just split. Blood and guts all over the place, Chen. And imagine how the MPAA must have felt seeing that shit for the first time, boy. My God. But still a great scene, though. I don't know if you have anything else to weigh on it.
So again, this is stuff like this is what really make the movie good. So that's how I do,
Yeah, exactly, right? So speaking of Lewis now, she gets shot a few times by Clarence. RoboCop shows up to save her, right? And, points for honest trailers talking about, he's walking on water like Jesus. Yeah, literally he is walking on some, muddy water, right? But whatever, right? He tells Clarence he's not arresting him anymore. That's what like, shit, like, nah, like, that's it right now, right? And yeah, RoboCop pretty much has had it at this point, right? But yeah, before RoboCop opens fire now, Leon drops some steel girders onto him, right? God damn. Lewis responds now by picking up one of those, those anti-tank, firearms, and pretty much fires one shot at him and blows up, right? Boom, that's it, right? So Clarence starts beating up RoboCop with like this small support beam, right? And RoboCop, he's pretty much blocking it with his arm now, but in the process now, the tip of pretty much create this sharp tip, right? So Clarence stabs RoboCop in the arm with it, right? And then starts to twist it, right? Real Terminator 2 shit. I could tell this is where James Cameron got the idea of the twisting the sort of steel tip blade thing. During the fight with Arnold and Robert, the T-1000, talking about that scene at the end. It feels very much like that in retrospect, right?
Right, yeah.
So RoboCop responds now by stabbing him in the neck with the same middle finger, the middle knuckle blade thing, right?
It's a knife, yeah.
Yeah. In retrospect, I would have loved to see the stab happen, like see it on screen, but you just kind of see like he moves the arm and then he pulls it back and then the blood kind of spills out that hits him on his arm, right? On his chest, sorry, right? But you do get to see a cutback, a Clarence bleeding to death, right? And I mean, because he's just an asshole, you just revel, you're just so happy in seeing him die, because yeah, he deserved to die. He was a real son of a bitch, right? There's a nice bit of dialogue afterwards where Lewis says, "Murphy, I'm a mess." RoboCop says, "They'll fix you. They fix everything." Haha, you see? Get it? Because a reference to OCP there, right? And speaking of OCP now, RoboCop heads back now to the building, right? And an N209 stands guard, right? And RoboCop pulls out one of the guns and fires two shots at it. And it just blows up, right? Boom, boom.
What's cracked me up is how the camera just zoom into the N209 in that part.
Yeah. I just love like when RoboCop drives off now, you just see Ed's legs moving. It's like, and then it just drops, right? I love that, right? So we get another meeting similar to the one at the beginning where the guy got shot, right? In this case now it's with Dick Jones and the old man, right? Then RoboCop steps in now and then pretty much tells everyone that Dick Jones is arrested for wanted for murder, right? So the old man asks for evidence now. RoboCop whips out the same data blade, right?
Yeah.
And a real smart twist now, he shows a recording of Dick's final words towards RoboCop before he unleashed the Air 209. This is pretty much where he confessed to Morton's murder, right? I thought that was like a real smart move though. So Dick now, being the Dick that he is now, grabs the same gun from before and threatens to kill the old man, right? And then Dick requests a chopper to leave the building and all that kind of stuff, right? He be real intimidated, right? So I love how the scene builds tension because you just see that Directive 4 notification just being flashed in his peripherals, right? Just keep flashing, right? And then we just get another great moment where the old man yells, "Dick, you're fired." Yeah, and that disables the Directive now. Yep. And the RoboCop is like, "Thank you." Yeah. And then fires at Dick, like just block up, right? And then, he goes through a window and falls his death, right?
This is well, they clearly kind of this model don't look that good with Dick falling. The arms are a little too big and long.
That's
that is a
right. I agreed. And the film ends now with the old man asks him, "Nice shooting, son. What's your name?" And RoboCop replies, "Murphy." Mic drop. Talk done, movie done, audience cheer, 2 thumbs way up. That's it. That's how you end a movie, right? So, in closing, I had an absolute blast recapping this film, man. I just forgot of how, just how influential and impactful and just straight up fun it was, right? Now, we could talk about the violent content for these, right? But, in retrospect, yes, it is violent, right? But it's never to the point of being, like, disgusting or overly gratuitous or whatnot, right? It serves a purpose, and it's just really to show not so much, well, in a sense, you can look at it as, it's kind of a parody of how 80s action movies were. Because remember the 80s, right? There were, like, a lot of, like, schlock, like, a lot of bloody, violent shows, right? Whether it was action or horror or whatever it was, right? Like they real amp things up, right? And it was even worse in the 90s, right? So you could kind of look at it as a commentary on that too, right? But I also kind of see it as, like in the future, though, this is how violence would look like, But it's not like meant to examine violence. It's more like to examine like American society and how it would be in the next few years. And you could it's amazing at how prophetic this movie was, right? Even though it is playing on just 80s action, schlock, right? Pretty much, right? What I also find really amazing about this show in retrospect, right, is that if you were a kid and you saw this for the first time, right, you would think that this was like the dopest shit ever, right? And you would think, I want to be RoboCop. You would think like it's kind of meant to appeal to kids, right? Because of the character itself, right? But this is clearly an adult film. But I like that the show kind of just makes that clear, right? But I mean, you can look at it now and enjoy it for what it is, right? But it's not a kid's show, right? But which makes it so funny that we had an animated show right after this. We had toys right after this. Is like,
it was Tank Ronald. Yeah, the irony of this is they had a Tank Ronald Reagan, for this. So for the which is where I forget where they just sort out everything. Tank Ronald Reagan for selling them bills and sorting out.
Oh yeah, definitely. But really, what surprised me watching this over again, though, is just how intelligent the script is, right? Not seeing it as like the best written script ever, right? Even by sci-fi standards, though, but just the little details, though, just the little jabs at American society and consumerism and capitalism and just all these little things, though. Even right now to the character of RoboCop, fleshing him out to be more than just this badass robot guy with guns and all that kind of stuff, but just like this really, like, it's the man who became a monster, right? There's a tragedy in this character as well too. But I like that the show shows it ever so often, but it does not zero in on it all the time, right? He's still a hero, but he just overcomes so much, man. And that's why he is easily one of the most iconic heroes put to screen, right? So basically the writing is strong, still holds up to this day. Paul Verhoeven's directing is strong. Just his just his eye for just have moments of just sharp satire totally work here. You could see how it trickled into Starship Troopers, which is also going to be turning also going to be celebrating our anniversary this year. That's going to be turning 30, right? No, actually going to be turning 25 actually later on this year, right? But this is a classic true and true. I mean, not much more I could say about this. So rated wise, I'm going to give this a decent to a strong, decent to a strong 4.5 out of 5. But this is one of the best action movies ever made, one of the best sci-fi movies ever made, and even by action and sci-fi standards, this is one of the most intelligent films like ever made, in my opinion. Because you can look at it as oh yeah, it's just, blood and guts and squibs and violence and blah blah blah. But even within all of that, dude, there's like just us this it's just an intelligence, though. You can just see it just permeated throughout this, though. I mean, yes, they get away with a lot of stuff. To be real, they get away with a lot of stuff too, especially on the violent side of things, though.
Yeah,
But still,
it's very moving.
they still don't, yeah, it's very hopeful, but they still don't lose sight of what, the messages, not so much e-message, but the messages of, this movie is about, man. So yeah, timeless film. I do see this holding up, hell, you know what I mean, 40, 25 more years to come, man. And yeah, even to this day, you could see how much it has influenced, sci-fi and action, genre cinema as a whole, man. So yeah, that's all I have to say. That's my final thoughts basically on RoboCop. So yeah, Ricardo, final thoughts are rated.
Yeah, I have no problem calling this movie a sci-fi masterpiece. It's an excellent movie, excellent science fiction. Simple conceit, and they build from it. And what I love about it is there's a meta conceit of the name, because if I remember correctly, everybody hated the name going into it. RoboCop, that kind of silly. But it makes perfect sense in the conceit of the world that is being built up, because yeah, that's how you'll sell a person like that within the world of RoboCop.
Yeah,
They'll
it,
just
it
call
sounds
it
like a
RoboCop.
product. It's a product
Exactly,
name.
a product, right? Exactly. Little things like that. Verhoeven, I think, if I remember correctly, this was his first time really like talking to a lot of like effects people, and he was like kind of clashing with them a lot over what the effect shot should be, how it should be. It was a troublesome shoot, because I forget where they were shooting. I think it was Houston, I think. So it was real hot. They went through a lot. It's a stressful, very stressful shoot and everything like that. But everything come together so goddamn well, and it's amazing. Verhoeven is absolutely perfect for doing a script like this. Like, it was just his sensibilities. I do recommend his older movies back when he was in Netherlands. Stuff like Soldier of Orange is a masterpiece in my opinion. Yeah,
I have to check those because I'm
yeah,
just
no, yeah,
familiar
like all
with
of his,
his familiar with his American stuff, like
yeah, no,
Basic
yeah,
Instinct, even quite recently, Benedetta, you know what I mean,
yeah,
but
yeah,
not his
exactly.
older stuff.
Right, exactly. But his earlier stuff is but he's like an amazing filmmaker, John. And is really fantastic what we get with this movie, John. Everything just comes together so well. Again, it's a real shame that the sequels couldn't really build from this in any interesting way. But yeah, that's how it is. I have no problem with this movie. Yeah, rating, yeah, about a 9 out of 10, probably a 9.5 out of 10, actually. More and more think about it. It's a movie that's get better in my head over time. As I said, when I was a kid, because I didn't understand everything and I was dumb, I always thought RoboCop 2 was a better movie. Not true. Right, this is clearly the superior film. It just works so well, comes together so well. Great story and action. Great character stuff. Like, just as Murphy, what Murphy is, what Murphy represents, and what he's trying to do. And yeah, all the cast, everybody just did a good job of pulling everything together. And yeah, 9 out of 10. Love this movie. Truly a classic. I mean, yeah, well,
Yeah, exactly. In closing, it's a shame that the sequels never really like properly built from the success and the story of the first film. Like, because even in the world of RoboCop itself, there's so much you could do, right? And,
yeah.
I have to give two credit for at least try, right? But it's just the commentary just was just not there, man. And it just kind of had me wondering now, just in closing, what was the like point to remake the film, right?
As I
In
said,
2014,
yeah. No, here's the
you
thing.
know.
As I said with the remake, it's a shame that they listen. I like the director, because RoboCop. The only way you could have gone with something like RoboCop is if you go international with it. Like, a lot of American, and well, to a certain extent, Israeli like police stuff is stuff that will eventually spread itself across the world. So I thought the idea of RoboCop is like, oh, they could have take this, and then, well, this is the experiment for some geopolitical or some kind of military industrial complex, something. And I thought he was the best director for that, because yeah, Brazil. If you look at Brazil and the policing and our whole history of how they treat the underclass and whatnot, he was like the perfect director for that. He was absolutely perfect. Again, if you ever watch Bus 174, it's kind of a masterpiece. And it is a real shame that he gets so hamstrung with this whole movie, John. But because it's not a pointless remake. Like, it had potential, no? But
Agreed.
yeah.
Yeah, like I still
But
think the Samuel Jackson character is the
yeah, but the
is the
stuff, because
standout in it.
like the stuff they had connected to China, and updating it in that way, like, where America is, and where quote unquote neoliberalism is at this point, and so on and so forth. You cannot go anywhere with it. But it is it doesn't come together. As I said, the main thing I would have loved to see a R-rated version of it. Like let
You
I
know,
get a
still to
chance.
this day, I wonder if one exists, you know. For the life of me, I
Like,
swear that there is a R-rated cut somewhere,
I
but
have
I
I
don't know.
can't remember. I
Yeah.
really can't remember off the top of my head, to be honest.
Like,
But yeah,
I was so let down by
yeah,
that remake that I didn't even bother to wait for
exactly,
it to come out on home media to see, oh, is there an unrated cut? I just
right,
kind of forgot about it, to be honest. I just kind of forgot.
exactly. But it's a shame. Right? As I say, I'm a big bias towards the director. But yeah, as it is, that's how it is. But yeah, the Verhoeven film, classic, great. They make it work right. 9 out of 10 or 9.5 out of 10 closer, to be honest. Yeah, that's about it.
Right, that's about it, yeah.